What about real ear measurement? If we're going to dispense hearing aids, as most audiology practices are, then we'll need NOAA, we'll need HiPro, we'll need a computer, of course, and we'll need to contact the various manufacturers of the hearing aids and acquire from them the fitting software, get to know the whatever the local representative is that will keep you up to speed on all of their new software, new hearing aid models. And you have to make a decision whether real ear measurement is going to be part of your standard procedure for dispensing hearing aids or not. There are three kinds of audiologists when it comes to real ear measurement. There are audiologists who don't believe in it. Now, not here at Auburn, but out in the world, there are audiologists that don't believe in it. We had an audiologist that started working for a practice, an ENT practice, and the ENT practice had two fitting facilities. They had two fitting rooms. They had two booths, and they had two rooms that were fitting rooms. There were computers in that room, of course, and all the fitting software, HiPros, everything. And in each room was a VeriFit 2, the new VeriFit. And so she walks in, she goes, we don't need these. I don't do real ear measurement. We're not going to do it anymore. And she tells the doctor she's getting rid of those, and she she calls me and said, how would I liquidate these? And I told her how, and she sold them both in 2 days. They were gone. Well, she lasted about 30 days at this practice, and she was gone. Another audiologist comes in and goes, where's the VeriFit? And the practice manager said, what? We had two of those, and the audiologist before you told us we didn't need them, and she sold them on Craigslist, by the way. And she goes, well, I have to have real ear measurement, you know. And then the poor doctor was calling again, said, you wouldn't believe what just happened here. And so he got two more of them. But it was a little expensive situation there. So there's some audiologists that feel they don't need it. They think the manufacturer, with their algorithm and their magic, are going to fit every hearing loss perfectly with their deluxe model of hearing aid. There are other audiologists that are kind of half believers. They want to have real ear measurement, but they're only going to use it on cases where they have a problem. The patient is complaining about some kind of issue with the hearing aid that they can't figure out and they can't solve by readjusting the fitting software, and so they say, well, I'm going to have to make a measurement in your ear so I can see what's happening here, you know. Otherwise I'm driving blind. And then you have the true believers who it's just part of every fitting and that's all there is to it, right? And so depending on which one you are, hopefully the true believer, because every expert on the planet will agree with that, then you'll decide about real ear measurement. And do I want a system that is standalone by itself, that is not connected to a computer? Well, that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, basically everything is connected, or at least can be connected to the computer. But do I want one that's standalone? In other words, that I could have and use without a computer, that will do everything that it needs to do by itself? Or a system that's PC-based, something that runs on the computer and that's it. Do I need a hearing aid analyzer with my real ear measurement? Well, if I'm doing pediatric fittings, then I do, because I can't expect that I would have an 18-month-old patient that I'm fitting, and I'm going to put the hearing aid, put the tube in the ear and say, now be quiet and be still. I'm going to put a tube down in your ear, and then I'm going to put the hearing aid on top of it, right? Chances of that working out are slim. You can get away with it with adults, but not with children. So we simulate the ear in the coupler. And we do that because we know the real ear to coupler difference. And there are even averages for different ages of patients. And I know you are working on a research project to add head circumference to the data that's in that project that has developed the averages at the University of Western Ontario. The reason that those averages are actually good for patients that you can't make an RECD measurement on is because the numbers are so high. Tens of thousands of patients over a long, long period of time where the averages are pretty good. But not all 5-year-olds are the same. And head circumference could pin it down even more. So Auburn is working with the University of Western Ontario and with AudioScan, the manufacturer of the VeriFit, to maybe include that in future software. But anyway, if you're doing pediatric fittings, you need a hearing aid analyzer, or if you're going to measure the performance of the hearing aid, you need that too. There are some very good things. I go some places and I open the test box, and there's old batteries and lots of dust and some paper clips in there and things like that. And I can say, so you don't use this much? Nah. In fact, I don't even remember how to use it. They use the real ear measurement, but they don't use a test box. Well, certain test boxes are so bad that you wouldn't want to use them. They're not practical. But ones like the VeriFit, for example, is very practical. It's got some really good things on it. The way they do battery drain, excellent for people who complain about the hearing aids eating batteries. You have no way of knowing unless you do that. And it does it in a way that it takes into consideration real-world factors. If you have a patient that is complaining about fidelity issues, it just doesn't sound clear like my other hearing aid did. Yeah, you were younger when you were wearing that other hearing aid, okay? But is there a fidelity problem or not? You can listen to it, and you will hear gross distortion, and you don't need to test anything. But if you listen to it and it sounds okay, well, is there a fidelity problem or not? If you do the total harmonic distortion test the way that the VeriFit does it, very useful for pinning down fidelity issues. Noise reduction. Is noise reduction effective or not? It's got the VeriFit has an excellent noise reduction test, right? On some makes and models, noise reduction is great. On some, it's horrible, doesn't even exist. Same thing with directional microphones. On some makes and models, the directional microphones are right on, you know, where you could really brag about it. And in others, you know, it barely is directional. We've even had it where some hearing aids use two microphones in order to accommodate the directional microphone. One of the microphones picks up from the rear, and the other microphone picks up from the front. They're using two microphones. And they're able to achieve excellent front-to-back ratios. So if you have a student that's listening to a teacher, you know, he's looking at the teacher, and that is very directional, pinned right in on the teacher, and not hearing the background noise in the classroom. That's reduced, okay? Real directional microphone, that's what it's supposed to do. We've even had them where the two microphones are miswired, and the patient hears better from the rear than the front. So here's the kids talking and the papers rattling and everything else that's going on in back, doesn't hear the teacher. Why is he not doing so well in school? Miswired. You'd have no way of knowing that. None. Unless you are able to do the directional microphone test on the VeriFit. That system is very unique and very useful. Other test boxes? Useless. You know? I mean, you're going to do that ANSI test, the ANSI sequence? All right. I know you do it here. But, I mean, outside of the classroom, it's very seldom done because nobody wants to do it. But these other tests are very, very practical. Very practical. Okay. And of course, pediatric fittings, then yes, you have to be able to do simulated real ear measurement and either measure or at least have estimates of real ear to coupler difference to make that practical. Because you're going to simulate the patient's ear The patient might be 18 months old, 24 months old, or less. You're going to simulate that ear in a coupler, a 2cc coupler. Well, that's a mortal sin. Go straight to hell, right? I mean, but the way that we could actually do it and do it accurately is real ear to coupler difference. Because if the machine and the algorithm knew the response of the patient's ear and knew the response of the coupler, then it could accurately simulate the ear in the coupler. Makes a lot of sense. So you're either going to measure the real ear to coupler difference and have the ability to do that, or if you can't even get away with that on this, 8-month-old, then at least you can put their age in 8 months and it'll give you the average. And you know that enough 8-month-olds have gone into this research on this where that average is accurate. Okay, so, and we used to ask this question, visual speech mapping. Will it do visual speech mapping? And essentially today, they all do. In fact, that's the standard of real ear measurement, is visual speech mapping. What you do here is visual speech mapping. So what systems are out there? The most popular is the Verifit. How much? 13 grand or 13.5, something like that. That is the standard of the industry. Every school system in Metro Atlanta has that. Everybody who fits Pediatric ENT of Atlanta, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Children's Hospital in Birmingham, all these places that do a lot of pediatric fittings have Verifits for that reason. The company, AudioScan, that manufactures that, very good company. You can call there, get the chief engineer on the phone almost instantly. They're in Ontario, Canada. But there is a little brother to that that's a little less expensive. It's called an Axiom. Some private practices have this because of the budget. And you can do the same real ear measurement that you do on the Verifit. You can do on the Axiom, 2 probes, left and right. And you can do the same pediatric fittings that you did on here, you can do on there, and you can do some limited test box, other test box things, but naturally not as much as the full system. And instead of 13.5, it's more like 9,000. Okay. Axiom. AudioScan also has a portable version of a Verifit, portable Verifit, that they call an RM500 SL. Now, I don't know why they named it RM500 SL. I think they wanted to just distinguish it from the others. SL means slimline. I don't know. Anyway, school systems many times have this, because they'll have audiology in one facility, but they'll have to go out and do fittings and measurements in the other schools, so they'll have that. Med-Acoustics makes one. It's called the Affinity. It's up there. It competes with the Verifit. There is another company called Med-Rex. They're down in Florida. That's a very, very good company. You could put that in the palm of your hands. It does just real ear measurement. You would just use it on adults. It's got 2 probes. It's completely binaural. Do both ears at once. It works great. It's very, very popular with hearing aid dispensers who are not audiologists because there's 2 versions of it. This full version, this thing that you're looking at, which is called an Avant, real ear measurement, Avant. It is about $5,900. And they have a single probe version of it, just 1 probe. You'd have to do 1 ear and then take it out, put it in the other ear. But that's only like $29.95. That's the least expensive one in the world. So you can still do real ear measurement on a budget. Yeah. Though how many hearing aids would it take to pay for a Verifit? Yeah, not too many.